This is the Yield S3 oven bake prime system. Consists of you need a vacuum pump. This system does not come with the pump. It requires 115 volts, and we have the front panel is here. The oven is here. We have these different controls. I'm going to go through them here. The first one here is your oven control. Normal operation is 150 degrees, which you can see it's currently at. So on this control, you can see we have a little toggle switch up here that says read. So we're reading the current temperature. Set point 1 here is for the actual set point that you want the oven to go to. Set point 2 is the over temperature, which is generally 10 degrees above. So if I move this over to set point 1, you can see that I've got 151 in here, so I'm going to turn that down to 150. Let go, and by turning this is how you do this change in the set point. And if I push it over to set point 2, you can see we've got 160. I'm going to increase it just so you can see how it changes. So I'm going to go clockwise with it. It goes up to 164, and counterclockwise I can go back down to 160. And then once I release, it goes back and shows you the current temperature. And down here is an indicator lamp. It's off right at the second, but you may see it come on. It's a red lamp. It will come on when heat is being applied to the oven. There's also different resets and things that you can do to adjust the oven. You shouldn't have to touch those though. The next gauge is our vacuum gauge, and this is our Granville Phillips 275, and this is going to read our vacuum throughout the cycle. And the recommended set points, which is what it's currently set for, is set point 1 is at 100 and 2 is at 10 torque. So if I push these buttons here, you can see we have 1 and 2. And set point 1, hold it, you can see it goes to about 100, and then set point 2, and it goes to about 10. So these are the trigger points for the program that will be running. Here's our start button, our complete lamp, this little lamp. There is an alarm thing that I've got covered with tape in the back just to mute it a bit, but that tape will not be on there. And then a reset button here in the front. Next over here, our program is determined which one we're going to run by the position of these thumb wheel switches. So this is currently at program number 1. I'm going to change that. Program number 3 is for filling the flask with a vacuum. So I'm going to change this to 3. So you just rotate that until 3 comes up. And then this will be actually ready at this point to run. But before we do that, I'm going to go into this controller. And this is the Minarik controller. Programming is done by the front panel here, and I'll just go through that briefly. So I'm going to turn this key to the right, to the left, to make it horizontal. And you can see we've got a bunch of gibberish up here, and that's because it's trying to run a cycle. It's just cycling back between 2 entries. So I'm going to hit reset. You can see we have reset across the front here. Now, we can do all different kinds of things from this. I'm just going to show the first step of this program, just so you can see, what's the different things do, etc. So I'm going to hit program, and it says 01, so this is line 1. And if A, now A in this case happens to be the start switch. So A, and if you've got the start switch pressed, it's telling you to go to line 3. Now, to do different things you can do here, you have your different outputs here. 0 is your complete output, 1 is your nitrogen, telling it to put nitrogen in there, 2 is your vacuum, and 3 is your HMDS. So during the course of the program, you'll see these different lamps light up depending on what it's doing at that current time, and I'll point that out during the run. And then down here, if you changed anything, because you can cycle through, your steps are here. If you hit step, see now we're at line 2, which is telling us to go to number 1. And then line 3, if C, go to 5, etc. And there'll be an instruction sheet and a manual that comes with this, which explains how to do all the programming. So I'm not going to change anything right at the moment. I'm going to hit reset. It goes back again to reset. And at this point, I'm going to turn the key upwards. And that puts the program in run mode. So that's what it's doing. And if you remembered maybe from seeing the program a second ago, program line 1 said if A go to C or go to 3, so since I'm not pushing on A, it's not going to 3, it's going to 2. And 2 is saying go to 1. So it's just cycling back and forth and going crazy. So we're going to run this program now, and this is program number 3, and this is to fill the flask with a vacuum. So if we look over here at the flask, I want to point out the flask here. There's no vacuum in the flask currently, and once this program completes, this needle will be all the way to the left, and there'll be a vacuum present in there so that you can, by using this, absorb your HMDS liquid up into the flask here, so it's ready for using it as a prime. So, that being said, we're ready to go. I'm going to hit the start button. This will now start to go through the program. So you can see now we've gone to line 65, and this is program number 3. And this is the program that's necessary for putting that vacuum into the flask. And it's telling me, minutes, and it's counting down seconds on the right here. Then it'll go to the next line. And if you can see this is also, you can see our vacuum is changing. And now, and I didn't point it out, but here's our lamps. So right now it's putting nitrogen back in the chamber. Now it's putting a vacuum back on the chamber for 1.5 minutes. So we've gone to 68, and you can see that this has now gone into a vacuum. Now it's gone to step number 21. It's going to go through a few steps here, and there's steps to purge the chamber of any HMDS vapors that have possibly gotten into the chamber, so they'll go out through the exhaust. You can see we're in the final 3 minutes here, and as it's counting down, we're putting nitrogen into the chamber. We're bringing it up to atmospheric pressure at this point so we can open it and get our materials out. And once we reach there, I will open the oven so you can see the interior. So you can see the program has completed. We're at line 25, which is complete. Lamp is on. You can hear the alarm. And at this point, I'm going to hit reset. And it's waiting again for us to either to change the thumb wheel and select another program, or run this one again, whatever you want to do. I'll show you the inside.